When you touch a demonically infused object, the demon can see inside of you. And then they can choose whether to go into you or to stay in the object. And it's like, and they teleport too. They don't just like move like we move. They have to teleport from one object to a person to an object. They don't move like in 3-dimensional space like we can. They move in a different way entirely. And it's like they know the subject when you're touching it or when you're speaking at it is being activated. That's how they kind of move, I've learned. It has to do with like unity of sound and unity of connection that allow them to sort of progressively move. And when it comes to like them coming into this reality, if they don't have a body since they're weak, they got to get in this reality somehow. So it makes me wonder if the stars floating in the sky, these balls of gases, all have a core, maybe an iron core, or maybe something related to their reminiscent state of existence, because Jesus rules with an iron rod. So there's something with iron from being a heavenly place. But if the fallen angels came into this earth, they probably came in and had to have an okatarium. They had to have a vessel to enter into this reality. So they probably possessed these space rocks, or they were the space rocks. And then they broke into this physical reality, crash landed, and just stayed there until a human walked up and touched the rock. And once they touched the rock, the spirit was able to move from the rock into the person. So really the first people that were inhabited by a demon, they were the first fallen angels, were actually just people that touched these fallen rocks, that touched these rocks. That was the first spiritual, and it was probably like a whole spiritual. They probably saw the rock and it was probably burning and probably were like amazed. They probably went over to the rock and knew that they weren't supposed to touch it. But the moment they touched it, the spirit went into them, and the spirit then was able to inhabit this person with their okatarium spirit. So it was probably the first time a demon possessed a body was a man touching a space rock. This is just a theory that I have been working. This is my current perspective theory of how this functions, dealing with demons from my personal experience of dealing with demonic objects.